What if three leaders meeting secretly in a quiet forest could change the future of the Middle East forever? In 1978, the leaders of Egypt, Israel, and the United States gathered at a secluded presidential retreat called Camp David. What happened there would become one of the most important peace agreements in modern history. Background: 020 to 120. For decades before the meeting, Egypt and Israel had been bitter enemies. They fought several wars, including the Six-Day War and the Yom Kippur War. During the Six-Day War in 1967, Israel captured the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt. This territory became one of the biggest sources of tension between the two countries. But in the late 1970s, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat made a bold move. He shocked the world by visiting Israel and calling for peace. Israel's Prime Minister Menachem Begin was cautious but willing to negotiate. To help bring both sides together, U.S. President Jimmy Carter invited them to Camp David in September 1978. The talks lasted for 13 intense days. The leaders stayed at the presidential retreat, isolated from the outside world. Negotiations were extremely difficult. Sadat wanted the Sinai Peninsula returned to Egypt. Begin, on the other hand, was concerned about Israel's security and future relations with its neighbors. At times, the talks nearly collapsed. There were moments when both leaders considered leaving the negotiations entirely. But Jimmy Carter refused to give up. He spent hours moving between the two sides, proposing compromises and trying to build trust. Slowly, progress began to emerge. Finally, after nearly 2 weeks of negotiations, the leaders reached a historic breakthrough. On September 17, 1978, the Camp David Accords were officially signed. The agreement created a framework for peace between Egypt and Israel. Israel agreed to gradually withdraw from the Sinai Peninsula. In return, Egypt agreed to recognize Israel and establish diplomatic relations. This was a historic moment. For the first time, an Arab country officially made peace with Israel. The agreement later led to the 1979 Egypt-Israel Peace Treaty. Although the deal was controversial in the Arab world, it ended decades of war between the two countries. The Camp David Accords remain one of the most important diplomatic achievements in Middle East history, proving that even the deepest conflicts can sometimes be solved through negotiation.